You have questions?
What is slashing?
We have answers.
Slashing is, like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And, there's a penalty for that?
Yeah. You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
This is CBJ in 30.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey? Here we go.
Tweet your questions by using the hashtag CBJIN30.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's your host, Bob McGilligan.
Welcome once again to another edition of CBJ in 30, the final edition of the show for the season. Well, I mean, what did you expect? The Blue Jackets were eliminated from playoff contention last night, right? So we talk about last night's game and then wrap it up. Is there any need to continue beyond that? So this will be the final edition of the show, and we'll wrap it up for the year and come back and see you in September. April Fools. No, that's not going to happen. We will continue on throughout the rest of this regular season to talk about the Blue Jackets and what's going on in the NHL. So that's my weak attempt at an April Fool's joke on you today. Let's talk about last night's game, a 3-2 win over the New Jersey Devils for the Blue Jackets. A very impressive victory, if you will. First of all, going into the game, you had to know it was going to be tough, because the Blue Jackets had just faced teams like the Anaheim Ducks, the Chicago Blackhawks, the St. Louis Blues, teams that come after you, teams that try to get you back on your heels, and you've got to, stay on your toes and fight and make sure that they don't push you backwards and that they don't put the puck in your net. The New Jersey Devils are a totally different beast. They sit back. They make you come to them. And they don't pressure you the same way. I mean, they'll get guys into forecheck and all that stuff, but they're about the trap and about lying back and about limiting your chances, making it tough when you get into their zone, not giving you any lanes to pass or shoot. Simple as that. That's the way they play the game. So the game last night was going to be a challenge just from that standpoint, because it was a completely different style. Well, it's a completely different style from everybody else because they've always played that style, and other teams have done it at times throughout their history, but nobody sticks with it as long and as much as the New Jersey Devils do. That is their team game. It's what they do. It is... But sometimes putting you to sleep enables them to win. So, you knew it was going to be a challenge just to start with. And then the Devils get the first goal last night, and they're able to take the 1-0 lead. And in a game against them, that a 1-0 normally is not such a big deal, especially lately. We've seen the Blue Jackets come back from being down by 2 goals against really good teams in the second period, with Vancouver being the example of that. But when you get down 1-0 to the Devils, the first thing that crosses my mind is, how many chances are you going to get? Because they're going to limit them. They can win games 1-0 pretty easily at times. So you're kind of, you're on edge a little bit. And you need to have that goal back. Well, the Blue Jackets got it back on a really nice power play goal that they scored with 3 seconds remaining in the man advantage at the start of the second period. Alexander Wenberg with a beautiful pass right down to Nick Foligno, who was standing on the doorstep, tips it in, gets his 27th of the year, and the Blue Jackets have tied the game at 1. And then, 3 minutes after that, Brandon Dubinsky gets a breakaway, goes in on Corey Schneider. Stefan Matteau slashes him. Schneider easily makes a stop of the shot, but a penalty shot is awarded. Brandon Dubinsky, it's almost hard to believe that he had not taken a penalty shot in his entire NHL career. I don't know why it's hard for me to believe that. I guess the penalty shots don't get awarded as much as I would think in my head they do. But he'd never had one. I guess you'd think of top players because of the way they play and force turnovers that maybe a guy like Dubinsky would get more breakaways and get a chance for a penalty shot. But he hadn't. But he got one last night, and he made the most of it. And he gave the Blue Jackets a 2-1 lead by beating Corey Schneider on the glove side. And then the Blue Jackets were 2 minutes and 29 seconds away from winning the game in regulation. They were on the power play, and they screwed up. And Denis Zubris got the puck, and he came in. He took 2 shots on Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei stopped both, but Mike Camilleri was trailing the play. He got the puck, put it in the net, in just a sliver of room beside the post and the pad of Sergei Bobrovsky. But he got it in there, it counted, and it was a 2-2 game. But the Blue Jackets rebounded. They rebounded really in a hurry. They knew they still had power play time on the clock. They pushed with that. Even at the very end, Mark Letestu took a shot at the horn that was pretty close. Close but no cigar. So anyway, you go to overtime. And the overtime didn't last long. And Ryan Johansson put on an individual show that was amazing. Takes the puck into the New Jersey end, circles all the way around behind the net. He's got one hand on his stick. He's got the other hand fending off a defender. That was like vintage Jaromir Jagr. You know, holding the guy off over here, controlling the puck over here. And he comes around behind the net. Great pass to David Savard, who didn't slap the puck at the net. Made it look like he was going to take a slap shot, but he took a slap pass right onto the stick of Jack Johnson in the left wing circle. Jack starts cutting in between the circles. He's in the slot all by himself. Takes a backhanded shot. And that's your game. Finds the back of the net. Number 7 gets his 7th of the year. And the Blue Jackets win their 7th in a row. Huge win for the Blue Jackets, just to keep that good feeling going. But again, the Boston Bruins won, which eliminates the Blue Jackets from playoff contention. That's the bad news. This team was making a last-ditch run. Thought maybe they could do it. They officially cannot. But it shouldn't take away from what they are doing right now, and it shouldn't take away from the fact that they will try to continue to win games the rest of the way, because they're building right now. You have to. You have to come out of this with something positive when it's all said and done. The way this entire season has gone, you've got to have something positive to go into the summer with. There's just no other way about it. You've got to. You've got to feel better about yourselves as a team going into the offseason. I had a chance to catch up with Brandon Dubinsky after the game last night and talk about his penalty shot and more.
At that point, is that the first time you ever done that?
Yeah, first career penalty shot. I was a little nervous, especially my dad's in town, so it was fun.
Were you happy to get a second chance on that? I mean, you're going in there, you get slashed, but Schneider stops that first one, you get new life on that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get anything on the first shot because of the slash, so it was nice to get that opportunity. Glad the ref called it. I beat Schneid's on the blocker side last time we played, and I had one early in the first, so I just thought he might think I was going there, so I was able to beat him with on the glove side.
How tough is that team to play against? You've been playing against these teams that kind of come right after you, and this one sits back and makes you come to them.
Yeah, they got a lot of veteran guys over there, and they play a patient game and a very structured game. So they make you pay when you turn the puck over. And you saw that a little bit tonight with our power play. We had some turnovers that turned into some chances. But I really liked the way that we responded after we gave up that shorthanded goal at the end of the game and able to go out there and get the 2 points.
And these 7 games has really been about perseverance like that. At earlier points in the season, that would have broken your spirit. That doesn't happen now.
Yeah, there wasn't a letdown. I mean, we went out there on the power play. I thought we had a couple opportunities there with a minute 10 left, and then, Tessie had one right at the end of the game, and we were able to keep it going into overtime and score within the first minute. So, like I said, I just like the way our guys responded to that and responded to the adversity.
Responded to adversity. I like that. And they did do just that last night. That's exactly what they did, as a matter of fact. They responded to the adversity of falling behind late in the game when they should have had it won. And they gambled a little bit too much there. The way you have to approach that, and if you want to be a team that's going to win and be in the playoffs and go far in the playoffs, you have to take those penalties late in regulation like that, and you have to approach it 2 ways. Number 1, I hope we score and open up a 2-goal lead. Okay. And number 2, I've got to be responsible enough with a puck that if we don't score, we've still wound 2 valuable minutes off the clock, and we can ride out the rest and get the win. Make them pull the goaltender, all that stuff. That's the thing that you have to do. You can't make that kind of a mistake. If you're going to be a consistent winner, you can't make that kind of a mistake late in the game You've got to be more controlling of the puck. You have to take care of it. You have to nurture it. You have to make sure they don't get it. Anyway, they got it. They scored, but it didn't matter in the very end because it was still a win for the Blue Jackets. Came in overtime. New Jersey got a point. Nobody cares. They're out of the playoffs. Everybody's out of the playoffs that was involved last night. It's all about pride. It's all about trying to make yourselves feel good and know that going into the offseason that you do have a good team that was just destroyed by injuries throughout the course of the year. Because we talked about it all year, and you can talk until you're blue in the face about it. But until you actually see it, you still have to believe, right? You still have to believe it. You still want to get the group together because after you lose a lot and you're struggling like that, human nature is to start to go, are we really as good as we were last year and the year before that? Did we lose something or are we still that good? You need to see it. And they're seeing it right now. And as the saying goes, seeing is believing. I said like Captain Kirk, didn't I? I guess I did. Smile. Seeing is believing. Anyway, they're believing. And they're enjoying it. And I think that's very important. That's what you've got left right now. So just enjoy it. Jack Johnson agrees with me.
First of all, Jack, great goal to end this game tonight. Well, what about the play leading up to that, what Ryan Johansson did and how David Savard got you that puck?
Yeah, well, I jumped on the bench there, and I thought we were going to have a quick 3-on-2. And then once Joey started going behind the net, I was just looking to take somebody with me and just kind of get lost and, hopefully, free up Joey for something. And came around the side of the net, and next thing I knew, I was all by myself. And David fired me a pass all by myself there, and I wanted to get a little bit more towards the middle, but I didn't want to take time to go to my forehand. So once I had a chance, I just fired a backhand.
How gratifying is it to win that game after you give up that late shorthanded goal?
It was a good feeling. I think, if anything, we just got mad. We didn't get down at all. Giving up a shorthanded goal that late in the game, I think our team reacted the right way. We didn't get down or bummed out. If anything, we got mad and wanted to finish the game off.
What's this confidence doing for you guys right now? And it's good, and I know you feel good, but does it also make you wonder, what if you would have had all these guys in the lineup this year?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can play those games all day, and, I think everyone would be lying if they say that they hadn't done that at some point. But, what's done is done, and, we realize the reality of the situation right now, but we never strap our gear on to lose, and we're going to try and keep on winning. We've been winning, and you want to win every game you play.
Yeah, and finish this thing with a good feeling at the very least, right?
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do at this point, and we've got how many games left? Six games. Yeah, we want to go 6-0. So. That's the goal every time you lace your skates up to win. And
for them here at home, and I know you guys have talked in the last couple of weeks about how important it is to win here.
Yeah, absolutely. We owe our fans some home wins. That's another what if you could have said. If our home record was just a little bit better, we could be in a lot different situation. So, particular games at home, we want to finish those off on a strong note. We owe our fans some wins here.
I always talk about the formula of success if you want to make the playoffs. And I usually say if you can play 750 at home and 500 on the road, you're going to make it. And I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. That's how it works. The Blue Jackets this year, and Jack just talked about it, the home record really is abysmal. 6 games under 500 at home. If you win 4 of those 6, if you're 500 at home, because what they could have done is they could have gotten in the opposite way. They could have been 500 at home and 750 on the road. Or, they're better on the road than they are at home. They have a winning record and a very measurable winning record on the road. That would have got them in. Or had them in the conversation anyway. To play better at home. Now, did some of their most, what's the word that I'm looking for? Were they hit hardest with some of the biggest injuries while they were on a homestand? Very possible. I have to go back and look at it. Let's see. November was not very good. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 home games there. January, there weren't that many home games in January. February, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, there's, I don't know. It just didn't work out. For whatever reason, it did not work out. Playing on the road was great. Playing at home was suspect. And that's usually not the way it works in this league. And Jack's right. They do owe you some wins. They have another chance tomorrow, another chance Saturday, and then 2 more chances next week. They owe you that. They owe themselves that to play well at home as well. Everybody smiles, all smiles, like going to Fantasy Island, right? With Mr. Rourke. Smiles, everyone, smiles. It's what it's like when you win 7 in a row, and that goes all the way to the top. And head coach Todd Richards.
First of all, Jack, great goal to end this game tonight. What about the play leading up to that, what Ryan Johansson did and how David Savard got you that puck?
Yeah, well, I jumped on the bench.
Just speak to your response after the last minute goal or the closing minutes goal by New Jersey, how you responded to what could have been a difficult spot there.
The next group that went out on the ice did some good things to, I think, get some positive momentum. We didn't score on the power play, but I think they did some good things as far as getting it in the zone. And I think then, because of that, we were able to get past, I think, the disappointment of what happened in giving up the shorthanded goal.
Todd, how key was it tonight to not put so much pressure on your penalty killers as maybe some previous games?
It's big. We talk about it and talk with a lot of guys who were on the road trip, and you can't do it. Tonight, do it. Takes out the.
Well, there's a technical difficulty. First, I hit the wrong button, and now there's a technical difficulty in there. But anyway, he was happy. He was pleased. He was joking at the end of the press conference, which is something that normally doesn't happen. So that's the way it is. When you win, that's what happens. Everybody's happy all around. See if you're happy. Let's go to Twitter, @BobbyMacSports, and see what you have for me today. I know you have some stuff. And Nate Booker has, and Nate sent me a pronunciation for his name. Thank you, Nate. I asked that a while ago, and he has come through. He gave me not only a written, but a visual pronunciation. Yeah, he did. I can't explain to you how he did it. It was genius. Just take it at that. Take my word. It was genius. Nate says, do you think that Columbus's physical play style has aided in the massive amount of injuries, or is something else to blame? No, I don't think it's the way that they play physically, because there have been some injuries. I think these fractured backs, stress fracture in the backs are, well, they're weird. I mean, when do you ever see that? Boone Jenner's played that way his entire life and has never had that. So it's not from the style of play. The abdominal injuries, not from the style of play. Concussion could happen no matter what style you play. We've seen that. All you have to do is take a hit. You can be a rush team. You can be a Detroit Red Wings who are as anti-physical as you can find probably, and a guy can get checked wrong and wind up with a concussion. Drew Miller got his eye cut last night. Freak injuries. I think these are freak. I really do. Some of them are freak, but it's not from the style of play. It could be from something else, I guess, and I don't even know what that something else is, but the style of play is not, it's not that. I mean, this team plays rugged. I would be happy to cite you some examples of some guys that have played and have been fine throughout the course of the year, but I do not want to do that with 6 games left, lest I be the guy that jinx said player or players. No, not a chance. All right? But no, I don't think it's the physical style of play. I can understand you asking that, Nate. I understand the mindset behind it, but it's just you have to be physical. Look at the teams in the Western Conference and the way they win. Look at the Blues and the Kings and the way they're winning games. And those are, 2 favorites to go all the way to the final. The Blackhawks are in there too. They're a little bit different because they're so potent offensively. But it is a physical game. You've got to be ready to play a physical game, night in and night out. I don't think it's the style or the system that is leading into that. Kyle wants to know this: who sits for Jared Boll? Well, Kyle is asking that, of course, because Jared Boll is able to return to action tomorrow. He goes back on the active roster after serving his 3-game suspension. Who goes back into the lineup for Jared Boll? Or who comes out of the lineup, I'm sorry, for Jared Boll to go back in? I'll tell you my opinion. I don't think anybody comes out of the lineup. I think the lineup stays exactly the same, barring anybody that may have been nicked up last night or anything that happens. They're having an optional skate. They had an optional skate this morning. Here's the deal. I told you yesterday I was really excited about the fourth line, Matt Calvert, Mark Letestu, and Jeremy Morin. Did you see why last night? Did you see what a difference that made? Having a line with speed as the fourth line? Having speed and skill on that line? Being able just to roll 4 lines consistently? I thought that was huge last night. I thought it played out just like I told you yesterday morning that it would. I liked it. I talked to Mark Letestu after the game. He liked it. Matt Calvert liked it. I'm sure Jeremy Morin liked it. Didn't talk to him, but why wouldn't he like it? Those guys were involved. They were getting regular shifts. That's all you want. You want a chance to play. They were getting the chance to play and contribute last night. So, from the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, why would you take anybody out and put anybody back in? And I know, I said yesterday that the last time the Blue Jackets and Islanders played, it was a chippy game. And there was some rough stuff going on. Well, somebody else is going to have to step up. Somebody else is going to have to answer the bell if need be. Dalton Prout might have to fight somebody if you had to fight somebody. Matt Martin wants to run around and do something, and Dalton Prout has to take care of it, so be it. That's no knock on Jared Boll. It's not. You're going to play an Islanders team that is desperate for points. They're only 1 point. They're tied with Pittsburgh and 1 point ahead of Washington right now. They are desperate for points. They're going to be rolling 4 lines. Give yourself your best opportunity. I think right now the best opportunity is to stay with that same fourth line they skated with last night. Skate with all those players they skated with last night. The Anisimov, Dubinsky, Foligno line, I continue to love that line. Wenberg, Dano, and Hartnell line, they were so good for a couple of weeks. They're going to go through ups and downs. And Wenberg just returned last night after missing 4 games because of injury. Marco Dano has fought the puck the last couple of games, I've thought. It's going to happen. He's 20 years old. It's not like they're not effective. They are. They're just not at the highest level they were a week and a half ago. That happens. That's why you have other lines to step up. In the Johansson, Jenner, Atkinson line, let me tell you how much complaint I have with that line. 0. I wouldn't change a soul. Not a chance. If Ryan Murray was ready to go on Thursday, I might make him wait till Saturday. I thought the defense was good last night. I think Cody Golubev gets more and more comfortable and confident with the puck. I just like it. You know, it's easy to say that when you're winning. But I just think I just like it. I mean, it's... last night, that fourth line added something that we haven't seen on a consistent basis all year. And the fourth line has been better throughout the course of the last couple of weeks. I get that. I understand it. But I thought last night it just added a different dimension. And to me, it's a dimension I'd like to keep. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But Kyle, long answer to your question. Who sits for Boll? Nobody. He does. In my opinion. Joshua says, how How far could you see us going in the playoffs in a world where we made it this year, no matter the seed? It's hard to say, Joshua, the ifs and what ifs, but I believe this. I really believe this. I think in this division, and I'm hesitating for a moment because for a lot of the year, I would have added 2 teams, but I think right now, the way everybody's playing, I'm just going to add 1. I think right now in this division, the Rangers are the only team better than the Blue Jackets. I do. I think the Blue Jackets are better than Washington. Take away the points. I'm talking about the team and the structure and the way they play when healthy. I think they're better than Washington. I think they're better than Pittsburgh. And I would have included the Islanders for a while, but I'm not ready to do that right now. They're slipping. Blue Jackets are surging. They're slipping. So, but what are the Islanders doing? The Islanders are riding the points that they got early, which, again, is why we always harp on the fact that the points at the beginning are just as important as the points at the end. If the Islanders had not amassed all those points at the beginning, where would they be right now? Out. That's what they're riding on. Maybe not out, but they would be not in the spot that they are right now. Anyway, let's see. Craig Levasseur, who do you think will not be on the Blue Jackets roster that is currently playing, and who would be a new addition? Well, that's so up in the air and hard to say. I mean, if you want to fortify the defense, you have forwards that you could move out during the offseason. Will Mark Letestu be a part of this, or will he not? I hope he is. I thought last night he was back to his old self. Back to making plays, playing. I think if you decide next year and beyond that your fourth line is going to be a speed and grit line like we saw last night, then I think Mark Letestu fits in perfectly as a fourth-line centerman who could also move throughout the lineup and fill gaps when guys are injured or what have you. Injured or ineffective. So, again, I've stated this a million times. I hope he comes back. I want him to come back. I think he's good for the dressing room. I think he's good for the team. But, there are other factors, salary cap, what he's looking to do, term of contract. Maybe somebody gives him more money somewhere. How do you know? You never know. You don't know until you're there, to be honest. So it's one of those deals where you have to wait and see. All Out Hockey says, who do you think will win the Vezina Trophy this year? Well, let me just tell you this. Carey Price leads the league in wins with 41. He leads the league in goals against at 1.92. He leads the league in save percentage at .936, and he leads the league in shutouts at 9. So if I were going to guess at this moment, I'd say Carey Price. It's really going out on a limb there, isn't it? Really going out on a limb. Right. That would be my guess. You asked, I answered. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else for me right now that I want to get to this, actually. I want to get to what else happened in the league last night. The Bruins officially eliminated the Blue Jackets' chances of the postseason with a win over the Florida Panthers. 3-2 was the final. They probably eliminated the Panthers as well. Florida's now 6 points behind Boston, so I think that ship has officially sailed. The Washington Capitals were a winner over the Carolina Hurricanes, 4-2 last night in the nation's capital. Toronto was a 3-1 winner over Tampa. You talk about blowing a golden opportunity right there for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Chance to overtake the Montreal Canadiens. They blew it. You're blowing it. The Red Wings lost in a shootout at home to the Ottawa Senators, 2-1. Shootout in Nashville. Vancouver, they're halfway through their daunting 4-game trip, and guess what? They're 2-0. They beat the Predators 5-4 last night. And the Winnipeg Jets, they are struggling to hang on. They lost to the New York Rangers 3-2 last evening. Standings look like this. In the East, the Rangers now with 103 points. They sit atop the conference and atop the Metropolitan Division. Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders have 95 points. They've got the guaranteed playoff spots, but here come the Caps. They've got 94 points. They're only 1 point behind those two teams. Tampa stays 1 point behind Montreal in the Atlantic Division, 102-101. Detroit getting a point in the shootout has 93 points on the year, but Boston is creeping up. Boston, with their win last night, has 91 points, and that means they're only 2 behind the Detroit Red Wings to try to get up into the number 3 spot of the division. And the Ottawa Senators, the only team that still has a chance in the East. They are 3 points behind the Boston Bruins going into today. Now, over in the Western Conference, Nashville leads the Central Division by 4 over St. Louis and 5 over Chicago. In the Pacific, the Ducks have the most points of anybody in the league at 105, 10-point lead over Vancouver, and Vancouver is 4 points ahead of Calgary. Vancouver's starting to pull away. I predicted the other day they might fall out. They're proving me to be totally wrong. But Minnesota's got 95 points, so they're 3 behind Chicago now. They're in a wild card spot. Winnipeg in the second wild card spot still for the moment, as they have 90 points. The LA Kings knocking on the door with 88 points, however. Let's see, the Kings have 1 game in hand on both Calgary and Winnipeg, well, and Vancouver. But they're now 7 behind Vancouver, so maybe that they were close to getting up to the number 2 spot in the division there, but maybe that's going to be out of reach for them. We shall see as the games are dwindling down. Games tonight in the NHL. Well, it is rivalry night on NBC Sportsnet, and that means the Penguins are playing the Flyers tonight. Flyers out of the playoffs. Pittsburgh trying, as I just told you, desperately to stay ahead of the New York Islanders and the Washington Capitals. Buffalo Sabres are at home tonight to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs, a battle of futility on both sides. And late tonight, the Anaheim Ducks play host to the Edmonton Oilers. If they do things right, they'll be able to pad their league lead as they try to get the President's Trophy. And the San Jose Sharks are going to be at home tonight taking on the Colorado Avalanche in another battle of 2 teams that are not going to make the postseason. So that's what's going on around the league tonight in the on rivalry night, if you will. So, Blue Jackets back on the ice tomorrow, taking on the New York Islanders at Nationwide Arena. That's a game that'll get underway at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Blue Jackets just with an optional skate today, and they'll be back at work tomorrow. And then on Saturday, an afternoon game against the Penguins before heading out to New York to play the Rangers on Monday. Busy, busy, busy here as we go down the stretch. It's 1 game at a time. The Blue Jackets will try to make it 8 in a row tomorrow when they take on the New York Islanders. Once again, that game getting underway at 7 o'clock at Nationwide Arena. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Jody Shelley and I with the Inside Edge on 97.1.